So on to our next video. Now I bet you're eager to export this to XPlane and put it into XPlane, but let's do a few things before we do that. And I promise in the next few minutes, we'll have you putting your object, your simple cabin, into XPlane. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to show you some potential problems that you'll run into. The first one is, if you notice here when we hit Oscar O on the keyboard, we get the orbit tool, and we notice that the foundation of the cabin is right on the red and green axis. So this is level with the ground. But many of you know that in XPlane, rarely is the ground perfectly level. So what we're going to have to do is extend the foundation down a little bit in order to keep those real weird looking floating houses from appearing in XPlane. You've seen them, I'm sure. So what we're going to do is we're going to choose our select tool, that's space bar on your keyboard, and we're going to select this bottom face. And then we're going to go up to the push-pull tool, and before you click on the face, hit Alt, and you'll see the plus sign. See that plus sign? Now, I'm using a Mac, so it might not be Alt on a PC. Just experiment until you see that plus sign. And then I'm going to drag this down, and now I've added this foundation that will go below ground level. So if the ground is not level, we're not going to get that weirdness showing up. Okay, and now I've noticed that what I've actually done here is added another block. So it's added that by extruding it. And I'm getting some lines here that I don't want, so I'll push Echo E on the keyboard or go up and select Eraser and just erase these lines. Now I want to come to my paint bucket or Bravo on your keyboard. Make sure you have the right texture selected. It's got to be the same one. And then I'm going to go ahead and paint this foundation with the stone. So again, I'm just taking my pins, click once, drag it over, and we're going to resize this and get it more exact here in a second. Resize, I just drag the E or the green pin. Okay, notice it's not exact, so now that it's bigger, I can go ahead and put it on the corners. All right, now anchor with the red, enlarge and rotate with the green, and then size with the blue. All right, so not perfect, but it'll do. And then I push Bravo on the keyboard, paint bucket, and Command to get the eyedropper. And I'm just going to paint. Oops. Now, when you don't select a face and you try to paint it, you're going to get that weirdness. So in order to get rid of that, we can hit Command Z, undo. Now the face is selected. Something's happening here. Let's go back. Okay, so I hit Command or Bravo with the paint bucket, Command, paintbrush, come over here, hit the select button, select the face, Bravo for paint bucket, and then paint. I'm still coming up with that weirdness. I'm not exactly sure what's happening. Maybe it's because it's not the opposite face. Let's do this. By the way, I'm no expert. I'm just telling you what I do. All right, and look at there. That's right. So apparently we have to reposition this texture. So I right click on it, go to position, and that's our problem. So instead of trying to work with this, what we're going to do is we're going to go to texture and then reset position. All right, now we start from scratch. So right click, texture, position, and zoom in, and let's line up the pins. All right, now we can anchor it with the red pin, size with the green pin, bring the blue pin down, and boom. Now, bravo for the paint bucket command, and then I get my eyedropper, O or Oscar for orbit, select, and paint. So I'm a little off. Let's look at the texture here. All right, I should be able to get away with this. Yes. Okay, so there we have it. Now, one of the other weird things that if you've been experimenting, trying to move stuff around, you may have run into this problem as well. So you come up here and you just want to move something around, and you select the move tool and then grab this line, and all of a sudden all this weirdness is happening. Now there is a way to keep that from happening. I hit Command Z in order to undo that, but it has to do with grouping, and I'll teach you how to group later, but suffice it to say, once you put one face on another and have it grouped it, when you try to move that face, it will also distort the face that it's connected to. So in the next video, we're going to talk about groups and components in order to keep from doing that, in order to keep that weirdness from happening. All right, so as promised, we want to export this. So we go up here. We're going to save it first. Once it's saved, then I can export to XPlane. Now you're going to get a warning here. It says that these number of triangles are textured, but you still have 1,962 faces untextured. If you like what you see, don't worry about it, because it's talking about the bottom texture and it's talking about the insides. And so we don't worry about that. We just hit no. Now, it's sent a file. In mine, it's sent to documents. So you got to know where Sketchup is sending these documents. So I've got a lot of documents here, but let's find I'm pretty sure it's tutorial 1. There it is right here. Now you have a SketchUp file and you have an object. You need to send both the object file and the texture file, the PNG. You need to put it in your custom scenery folder in the airport that you want to use. So we'll walk through that here in just a second. So I know where these files are, and I'm going to import them into XPlane. Alright, so now I'm in my PC. That's where I fly XPlane, and I just drag these files over to the airport in my custom scenery file in XPlane. Now I replaced an old texture. If you do that, be careful, it'll change your objects. And then I'm opening Overlay Editor. You can use WED, but now I'm going to place my objects, and I have my custom scenery Upper Tasmania Lake, and I'm going to place my objects in the XPlane, and then I'm going to open the XPlane. I'm going to move to where I place the objects, and here they are. Now I have two here because I wanted to show you what it looks like when you don't do the foundation on even ground. If you'll notice, the cabin is almost right as far as the one on the left. I probably need to move that foundation about a foot lower and it'd be just fine. But you can see how funky the other looks. It looks like the cabin is floating, and that's why you do the foundation lower than the horizontal axis of the green and the red. Alright, in the next video we're going to talk about groups and components and a few other tips. See you in the next video.